the first process in any interior detail is really, in my opinion, compressed air. So I know this video is about nasty cloth seats, but you're going to see me in this first step of this vehicle just really trying to use my air compressor nozzle, creatively in every nook and cranny that I can kind of get to, blowing dirt out. I tell you guys often in these videos, dry soil removal is absolutely critical at the beginning of a detail. Otherwise, when you introduce moisture, anywhere from like a pressure washer on carpeted floor mats to even just blasting something with a steamer right away, you're creating mud, right? So you want to get all the dry dirt out early. And in case you haven't realized by now, my videos are about trying to do the best job you can. I know there are more economical, faster, more profitable ways to detail, and I'm using the tip of my air compressor nozzle to work in some dog hair. And I've told you guys before that I love these nitrile gloves. They have little pointy things on the gloves, and they certainly work for dog hair. So we'll just leave it at that. Here I am doing manual labor, bending over, using the air compressor, trying to get all the dirt out. Here I am using the Tornador. Why not, right? Why not? I just gave it a try. I thought, well, will the Tornador work here? I don't use the water basin because I don't need to be introducing any moisture right now. I was just like, yeah, maybe the Tornador will work for some dog hair. The Tornador's nice. A lot of people like it. It does what it needs to do here. And by the way, have you ever done a Subaru interior with cloth seats that was easy? I don't think so. So, again, we're going to get to the seats in a second, but this is just a, hey, here's what I do when I get in the car kind of thing. We're just speeding up the video a little bit, showing you all of the processes required to just get dry soil out of a car. So I got rid of the Tornador and said, let's just get the vacuum in one hand and we'll agitate with the metal tip of the air compressor in the other. You should probably use a rubber tip, but that would be safer. But I really like the agitation of the metal tip, which I'm sure had a rubber tip at one point, and the rubber tip came off. But I do like kind of the agitation it lets me achieve on carpets, so I can kind of work at dog hair and that kind of thing. But here I am again, just, makes common sense, start top to bottom, all that. But again, I get into the habit from wintertime detailing and how long it takes for stuff to dry, like seats and carpets. If you got cloth seats and you're doing some nasty carpets, it's a good idea to start with those first, because there's going to be a lot of time involved in the drying process. Air movers help in drying, and you can always use a product called Spot Stop, which I haven't shown here, but I've shown in previous videos. Spot Stop works amazing for reducing wicking, and if you don't know what wicking is or Spot Stop, just comment on the video here and we'll try to answer your questions for you. I could fast forward some of this video, and again, the idea here is I just want to show you, what does it take? This is not some brand new car that I'm saying is dirty. This is a Subaru with cloth seats, and if you don't know, now you know. Anytime a customer calls and they have a Subaru and they may have dogs or kids, just know this is not going to be easy. Some of the most challenging interior details I have ever had have been inside two-row Subarus. I'm not even talking about giant Denalis or Suburbans, two-row Subarus with a back trunk area that is full of almost impossible dog hair. Those all seem to go together when you see jobs like this. So, having some knowledge of what other people do, I realize that this can seem excessive. And at some point you want to make sure you're charging for a really deep, thorough clean. But for beginners out there, I don't want you to give it away forever, but if you deliver quality to customers, you will get more work, and that's just the fact of the matter. But eventually you want to get to a point, and hopefully sooner rather than later, where you're able to charge what you're worth. I'm at a point now where I'm my interior details start at $200. At one point they started at $150. I kind of decided that if I'm going to be in an interior 5 or 6 hours sometimes, which is crazy, I at least have to make something off the job. And a lot of you guys know this is a side job for me, but I'm treating it more like a business every day. And so Either I need to spend less time, get more efficient, or charge more. That's the basics of trying to be a business. So here I am with the nitrile gloves, and I'm kind of using that air compressor to like agitate some of the hair off the sides and the back, because of course the dogs hang out in the back, right? So there's all this like dog hair that's like stuck to the side of these headrests, and then the back is a disaster as well. So like I said, if you've never used these like textured nitrile gloves to really work up dog hair, I'm telling you, it's amazing. And there I am, just using the gloves to kind of grab it out and then, shoot the air out. The rubber floor mat, actually it didn't look too bad. This whole area got a little bit worse after I got in. You know what I probably would have done, in hindsight, I probably would have done a quick little vacuum first. That's a bottle that you see that says Duplicolor Paint Prep, but in fact, that is my Bio Break as a pre-spray. So I'm working some of the stains in as we go. But I will tell you, after a nasty like 40-hour paint correction that just like seeps my soul out of me, I like getting back into an interior where I totally feel in my comfort zone. Like, I know what I'm doing in here, and it's very rewarding. But interiors are hard work. Guess what? Detailing's hard work. It's manual labor. Let's just not pretend like there's anything easy about it. That middle area that I showed you in the intro section had some nasty stuck-on stainage. So that's what I was doing there. Putting some BioBreak, which is my pre-spray of choice for especially nasty carpets and cloth seats. High pH. I think there's some enzymes in there. I've never found anything that does a better job. That Brush Pro was last used on another job. I didn't properly clean it. So here I am just kind of grabbing the brushes and trying to wipe them off. And I'm just working that BioBreak into the car seats. I love the weight of the Brush Pro and how the brushes just continue to go back and forth. So it's doing so much work for me. I don't even need to really be moving that Brush Pro like as quickly as I am. Like, I could just let it sit there and let the brushes do what they're gonna do. But you could use a drill brush here, and by hand you could have a brush as well. Like, I'm just aware of what that Brush Pro can do, and I love it on sturdy, old, nasty seats. I would not use a Brush Pro with all that weight on a brand new vehicle with cloth seats, like a truck or something, kind of the basic package. But when it comes to, older, nasty, beat up seats, I'm taking out the bazookas, right? So here I am spraying BioBreak onto my seat, and then I'm using this handy brush. I've done a video about that, so I'll link that in the top right hand corner for you. I think I called the video "The Poor Man's Tornador." It's a really nice brush. It's very nimble, and because I in the moment didn't really think about reclining this seat, I could have put the Brush Pro on the reclined seat. I'm just using this brush. I don't believe that seat was all that bad, and at least on the vertical part of it there that you put your back against, or I probably would have hit the Brush Pro on there. But I'm just trying to get every nook and cranny. I'm still sort of like trying to get every little edge and seam and just make sure we get that BioBreak going. You want to give your pre-spray, if you listen to the carpet cleaning world, and I've spent a lot of time trying to master some of their best practices, you want to give 10 or 15 minutes, I think, of good dwell time. I'm just rubbing it in as I go here, because you could do that too. But if you really want, and I'm kind of spraying it and rubbing it in just to get it going, and then I will let it sit for the proper amount of time. Because sometimes, guys, you just got to get out of the way and let the chemicals do what they're designed to do. And sometimes dwell time is critical because you're trying to make up for it with all of these other variables, right? Chemical, heat, agitation, time. Those are your 4 variables that you have with carpet cleaning and cloth seats. Chemical, heat, agitation, time. Time is one of them. Let the chemical do the work. All right. Thank you for your patience as I move the GoPro around the car. Again, I'm this believer that perfect is the enemy of good. So some of my videos are very highly produced, and some of them, like this, are just kind of more like, I really just hope this can help you learn the steps involved. So I'm sort of like working one area at a time. Like, for instance, I started on the passenger side seat, and now I'm going to do the back right half of the back seats. You don't want your pre-spray to dry. So I like to work in small sections. If your pre-spray dries up on you, you don't want to put more pre-spray on the carpet. You actually want to just add some moisture, some water to get it wet again. But you don't want to add pre-spray on top of pre-spray. That is something I don't know the answer to as to why, but that's what we learned at carpet cleaning technician class. And the pre-sprays are pretty harsh. They're pretty strong. They're not messing around. So work small sections, almost like you're working panel by panel in direct sunlight. Finally, the fun part. This is my sapphire upholstery tool, and the idea being the jet where it shoots out the water is actually inside the, whatever you call that, the wand, I guess. And so as you spray the jet, it's also sucking at the same time from inside of that particular, wand nozzle. So when you're spraying your extraction liquid, it's not going everywhere. That's the idea, is you can work around seams of these seats, and you're not going to spray with your extractor all over that middle plastic, center console, or the armrest, where the center console compartment is. So right now I've pre-sprayed, I've agitated, I've given it time. Pre-spray, dwell time, agitation, and then finally, after you've agitated everything, it's time to get all that stuff out of your carpet in an effective way. And ideally, with seats, this extractor is supposed to introduce less moisture. You're still going to have a lot of moisture. You're still going to want to dry as rapidly as possible to prevent wicking. And if you can, spray spot stop at the end, which has polymers in it that prevent that water from wicking back up. So yeah, it's under the seat somewhere, but what the customer doesn't see, they don't have to worry about. And we are appearance specialists here, right? We're cleaning. This is hot water extraction. There's hot water in my extractor. This is sanitizing it. It is cleaning it. There's no doubt about it. At the end of the day, I know I'm doing an extremely thorough job, and I just want it to look good, to reflect all the work I've put into it. So do I want wicking on these seats? Absolutely not. And I'm doing a little bit of the hot water extraction on the cloth seats here on the seat back. Again, I love this sapphire upholstery tool for seats. It is meant for seats and upholstery, so you're not going to get a ton of overspray everywhere. But as I said, the seats definitely still get wet. I'm able to see through the plastic head of the tool what's coming up, and it gives you a sense of where you're at. Definitely pulling a lot of gunk out of here. Yeah, it's looking pretty brown. I love the results that you can see transform before your eyes when it comes to old cloth seats and hot water extraction, especially after using BioBreak and a Brush Pro. I mean, you're gonna hit them pretty hard there, and anything that's left standing may not come out. With that said, sometimes you have to let something dry and see it wick back, and then treat it with an encapsulation product or a spotter, or whatever it is. I usually hit it with an encapsulation product like Release It DS2 or Spot Stop, and just rub it in evenly and blend it in, and by the time it dries again, it's usually good. So if something wick backs at you, a quick encapsulation blend and a quick dry usually makes it perfect.
This is a urine neutralizer, very low pH to neutralize the ice melt.
This right here is a total random side note. This is not Spot Stop, although it's in a Spot Stop bottle. It's urine neutralizer, and I'm using it for the ice melt. It's a low pH. It will neutralize ice melt. There's just a little bit of ice melt in this car. I'm using my phone to light this, so my deepest apologies, but just a little bit of ice melt around the pedal there, or whatever you call that, and so I'm just kind of spraying on the right hand side where I know there sometimes is ice melt, and then I'm just saturating this here. I think there is a little ice melt there on the right hand side as well. You're gonna let that dwell, and there's definitely some here. I don't even show you the end of this, but I am going to show you the beginning. What you do after this, you let it sit for a while, you dwell with a brush, you steam to break it up, you extract, and then you clean as you would. I know this is all about cloth seats, but I like being redundant with carpet cleaning because I don't think a lot of people get into the weeds like I do. So if you live in northern climates where you have ice melt, that is what you will be dealing with. Alright, using the GoPro, getting everything set up. Big Bertha. This Brush Pro is amazing. I don't have to do anything really, and I'm just letting the Brush Pro do the work for me. Like I said, if I do BioBrake and a Brush Pro, I'm just pretty confident that that's going to get most of the crud out of these seats. Again, this is a commercial residential carpet cleaning tool with a much longer wand if you're standing up, but you can take the wand off, and I found it to be an incredibly effective tool in carpet and cars. In cars, it has a more unique place. It's big. It's a little bit heavy to be doing against the seat backs here, but it does work. It's a little awkward and probably not super realistic for most businesses, but if you're interested in the Brush Pro, I can get you a really good deal. I'm a quasi distributor, but a drill brush, you'll be fine without a Brush Pro. I just have one and certainly enjoy using it, and I've actually asked them to make a smaller version, so we'll see if that happens for cars. And then mysteriously, I have a new extractor head on my extractor. I will tell you this, I like the clear tool, but I knew this center area was going to be really dirty. Remember how dirty it was in the beginning? And for whatever reason, this traditional extractor head gets things a little wetter, but I also feel like it comes out at like a much more forceful PSI from the machine. And so I used this tool here, and basically, you're trying to do dry passes after wet passes. They like to say, one wet pass, two dry passes, whatever. I mean, for me, I know I'm going to get these seats wet. I try not to oversaturate them, so I will try to follow up with a couple of dry passes for every wet pass. And then I will try to maybe, use a microfiber towel on the seats after I'm done doing this whole extraction process, because you do want them to dry quickly. What I think is the most critical thing that you can do outside of mitigating the water as you go is like get yourself some air movers. I've done videos about air movers before. If you want to see more videos about how I use them, fine. I mean, it's not that complicated. You can usually get them for $89-$100 per air mover to get a good one. And you can see all the crazy amounts of moisture that I'm pumping into these seats, right? I'm pumping in my extractor liquid, which is essentially hot water mixed with a low pH product called Flex Ice, and I'm trying to suck it out at the same time, but a lot of that water from the pre-spray is still there, and now I'm introducing even more moisture. So yeah, these seats are going to be wet, and drying them quickly is definitely a top priority. And real quick, I like to spray Spot Stop into these seats. Rub it in evenly. It's something that can help you prevent spots from wicking up after a very wet hot water extraction. And then, of course, yeah, like I said, love the air movers. Love the air movers. These have 4 legs that can kind of indent the fabric, so I try to be cognizant of that. So I put a towel underneath them. If I have my red one that just goes straight in one direction, I don't need to do that. But I will extract the seat backs here, and everything that needs to get done is going to get done. We're going to get every surface nice and clean. And finally, the show you've all been waiting for. Look at how soiled this driver's seat is. Hopefully we'll be able to show you a little before and after action. So we've already done the pre-spray with the BioBrake on there. And this is where I think the Brush Pro really comes in handy. Just a trashed old seat, and you get the chance to just work that pre-spray in, the weight of the machine, the amazing brushes that just keep spinning even when you're doing no physical effort at all. You can see how it'd be great to agitate pre-sprays into carpets at home, right? And you wouldn't typically use a Brush Pro on fine upholstery inside of a home, but on bulletproof, sedans that aren't usually luxury, that have cloth seats, you can kind of get away with it because these cloth seats are meant to take a beating, which they do. You can even see the seat belt area there on the left and how dirty it is, to give you a sense of what we're dealing with in this car. So I'd say there's a slight improvement in the appearance of that seat. Now we're going to get the extractor out. And give her a shot. Look at that white strip. It's a beautiful sight, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not using the sapphire upholstery tool here. Again, I know I'm going to get it wet, and my goal here is just to get the dirt out. So I am introducing moisture. There's no doubt about it. Just taking my time, knowing I'm gonna get these wet, but it's gonna be worth it. And you know, I'm just seeing this is not coming along the way that I want it to. I mean, it's still looking really dirty to me. So I went ahead, I knew this seat was wet enough. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead, instead of doing the whole process and then having it be dirty when it dries, I'm gonna look with my eyeballs. I'm not gonna follow the standard operating procedure. If it's not coming clean, it needs another cycle. So for me, I knew it needed a little more agitation. I kind of felt that. And now it's starting to come clean again. This is the extraction process. And it's finally starting to transform. So sometimes it takes a couple of cycles through this process. So don't be surprised if when it dries up on you and you're like, oh, Nick showed me this method, why isn't it working in real life? Because sometimes real life, throws you for a loop. And you didn't cause the mess, so don't take it personally. That's what I learned recently. Because I get so emotionally attached to these vehicles, but don't take it personally. It's just you're there to clean, and not everything's always going to come out. Anyway, it's a time-consuming process. Hopefully you get paid for it if you're going to go into this depth and detail, but gives you a sense of what it really takes to deep clean cloth seats. And if you guys have a faster method that works visually well and you feel like cleans, by all means let me know. But I gotta tell you, it doesn't really seem like anything beats hot water extraction when it comes to a deep clean. Sometimes it's completely necessary to get the job done right.